So welcome everyone to part 5 of the 24-hour Peace Wave. Let's hand it over to our friends from the West Coast of North America to take it away for the next 2 hours.
David, are we waiting on Ground Zero to do the streaming there?
Patty or Ground Zero or Elizabeth?
Patty?
I think they all have the power to speak up. And
okay, David, my understanding is that Patty has not been included as a co-host. That's her message. I just got a call from Kathy.
she has been, she will be again right now.
Okay. I think that's
how's that, Patty?
Hi, can you hear us?
Yes.
Perfect.
Oh, good. All right, welcome. Patty, come with me here. Yes. I'm Kathy Railsback. I'm here at the Ground Zero Center for Nonviolent Action. I'm here with my friend and colleague, Patty Ariano, who's made this all possible for us and is our videographer. We're delighted to be here. I use she, her pronouns, and I'd like to start to begin our part of the Peace Wave by reading a land acknowledgement. Can you hear me okay?
We can. If we're slow in saying so, it's because we're muted.
What do you say? It's okay. Okay. All right. This is the land acknowledgement statement for the Suquamish people. Begins with a quote from Chief Seattle from a speech he made in 1854. Every part of this soil is sacred in the estimation of my people. Every hillside, every valley, every plain and grove has been hallowed by some sad or happy event in days long vanished. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather, the land here where our Ground Zero Center is, and also the land over there where we have the Bangor Naval Base, all of this land is the land that was stewarded and continues to be stewarded by the Suquamish people, the people of clear salt water. Expert fishermen, canoe builders, and basket weavers, the Suquamish live in harmony with the lands and waterways along Washington's central Salish Sea, as they have for thousands of years. Here, the Suquamish live and protect the land and waters of their ancestors for future generations, as promised by the Point Elliott Treaty of 1855. So Ground Zero is also the home to a future home of the Peace Pagoda. And it's the Peace Pagoda of the Nippon-san Myohoji Order. We turn now to Senji Kaneda, Gilberto Perez, and Jim Lyman at the Peace Pagoda, which is under construction.
Right here.
Hello, everybody. My name is Senji Kaneda. I'm originally from Japan, the Buddhist monk, and I live in the United States for 19 years now. So, have you ever seen this picture? It was taken by American Marine Corps photographer Joe O'Donnell about 3 weeks after the atomic bomb was dropped on Nagasaki. That young boy was carrying his dead sibling and waiting the cremation of the riverside in Nagasaki. In 2018, the Pope Francis visited Nagasaki, and he made it into a New Year's card and distributed it all over the world. He named it A Fruit of War. Since 2005, we have been holding peace marches every year in the Pacific Northwest, Oregon, and Washington. Washington State is home to the Hanford nuclear facility, which produced plutonium of the Nagasaki atomic bomb. While I was organizing it, Brother Monk Gilberto found this picture online and said to me, "Look at this." When the atomic bomb was dropped on Nagasaki, my mother was at the railway station in Kokura, currently sister city of Tacoma, where the Kokura is. The atomic bomb was scheduled to be dropped second after Hiroshima. She was walking at the ticket gate. There, she saw many atomic bomb survivors from Nagasaki. Many looked so gruesome that once anyone saw it, they would never forget it again. With skin hanging from their jaws and their whole bodies covered in flies and maggots. They had no power to shake it off. There was the best steel mill in Japan in Kokura area, and people who came overnight thought that the affiliated hospital would have medicine for burns, but the hospital was already not an air raid. On August 9, 1967, 22 years after, I was 9 years old and in the first grade of elementary school. My mother took me to the world rallies to ban the atomic and hydrogen bombs in Nagasaki. I think that was the starting point. And I am here now. I'm a Buddhist from Japan, and it was in 1982 that our teacher, Fuji Guruji, who was 96 years old at that time, visited the Ground Zero Center after a million anti-nuclear rallies in New York. When he saw here was a brave and righteous American citizen. Since ancient time, Buddhists in Asia have been celebrating the remains of the Lord Buddha as a pagoda and using it as a symbol to pray for world peace. Touched by the life-threatening action of the grassroots citizen of the United States, our teacher monk Fuji Guruji advocated, please build a pagoda here by all means. That pagoda, that's what in 1982, 40 years ago, work began for the construction. But the temple on the Ground Zero Center was burned down by Marine Corps soldiers, and the pagoda was ordered to stop construction. In the decades that followed, the story seemed to have faded away. However, the seed sown at that time will not be burned out by fire and will eventually be revived with the thought of people's unceasing prayer for peace. After 40 years, a person who is here then and now dedicated himself to the construction of the pagoda. Please let me pass the baton to the gentleman, Jim Lyman.
This is the beginning of the building of the pagoda. That is a representation of what the finished product may appear as. At this exact spot, 40 years ago, a prayer in physical form of a peace pagoda began to take shape. I was here then. This is a, pardon. This is a photo of the beginnings of the pagoda that we began way back then. The notion of a monument to peace did not align ideologically or politically in this area. At that time, billions of dollars were being spent to build the Trident nuclear base only 100 feet from the pagoda, right over here. It literally became dangerous to continue. Arsonists set fire to the adjacent temple, destroying the home and sanctuary, housing 8 monks and nuns. Now, 40 years later, the prayer continues. The latest of 80 pagodas built worldwide since 1950 will be completed. We welcome anyone who wants to assist, and we'll provide contact information.
KANAEDA@gmail.com. That's my name, KANAEDA@gmail.com. You can call to Ground Zero also, that question and anytime. And we are so welcome to join us.
Hello, brothers and sisters. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Louder, as they talked about the Peace Pagoda. I am from Cuba, Afro-Cuban. Ancestors were slaves from Africa, Nigeria, and then to the Bronx. So I know a little bit about violence in the Bronx. And I will start with the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, from October 16th to November 20th, the confrontation between the United States and the Soviet Union came very close to nuclear war. And Ukraine is presently much closer to a nuclear disaster. Alexander Haig in 1982 once said, "Give me the word and I'll make that island into a expletive parking lot," unquote. That remark scared the mess out of Ronald Reagan. A population of 11 million dismissed as collateral damage. D. Eisenhower, a serious general who knew about war, said in 1963 that the Japanese were ready to surrender and it wasn't necessary to hit them with that awful thing. A few insights on our study of the Lotus Sutra, the practice of Nipponzan Hoji order, opening the heart of the cosmos and the chanting of Nam-myo Renge Kyo, walking about in the Saha world, this world, and on this small planet in the universe, which is one dimension of form, offerings, prayers, love, faith, building peace pagodas. And the most precious gift we can give is non-fear. Even spending time in jail and getting arrested at the Bangor nuclear base. Fearlessness is speaking truth to power. In relieving the suffering, peace is possible. The second dimension is contact with the ultimate dimension. No fear of anything. El fin, the end. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Please turn off the sound. I love technology. And good afternoon. Welcome to Ground Zero. My name is Tom Rogers. I'm a member of Ground Zero Center for Nonviolent Action. And I'm going to present an overview of what exists on the other side of the fence. There we are. Who is that young man? I spent 32 years as a submarine officer. And toward the end of my career, saw the error of my ways. And after I retired, started working for nuclear weapons abolition with Ground Zero. And I've been working with Ground Zero for 19 years now. You saw the house on the way over. It's a house that was built completely by volunteers. And I want to take an opportunity right now to thank our friends, Charlie and Carol Michelle, who donated that really nifty solar system that is providing all of our electrical power right now. So we're right across the fence from the Bangor Trident submarine base. Right down in the lower left-hand corner here is where we are right now, Ground Zero Center for Nonviolent Action. I'm going to show you just a few elements about the base. This is a family housing area. It's really pretty, well-kept, beautiful. Lots of young people live there. 15,000 people live and work on the base. But everything on this side of the road is all about nuclear weapons. It's all about being prepared to destroy civilization. We're going to look first at the what's called the Delta Pier. The Delta Pier is where the Trident submarines moor when they are in port at Bangor. And there are 10 Trident submarines that are stationed here. I said 10. The number is 8 Trident submarines are stationed here. And generally 2 or 3 are in port at any given time. 1 will be in an extended maintenance period, and 4 or 5 are at sea. Here you can see there's 1, 2, 3 submarines alongside the piers. And this is what a Trident submarine looks like. It's 560 feet long, 42 feet a beam, 75 feet high, 75 feet from the keel to the top of the sail, 7 stories. Thank you. It also, for you folks that live in civilized lands that use the metric system, we've got 171 meters, 13 meters of beam, 23 meters high, and displaces 17,000 metric tons. This ship carries 20 Trident II D5 missiles and anywhere from 90 to 95 warheads. They go to sea on patrols where they find a quiet, lonely part of the ocean and do nothing except maintain communications and prepare to launch these horrible weapons. The other place we're going to talk about is right in the middle. It's called the Strategic Weapons Facility Pacific, and that's where the nuclear weapons and the missiles are delivered and serviced. And right now, the missiles that are not deployed on the submarines are in these bunkers here and all of the warheads are in this single underground bunker here that was built and completed in 2015. I am told that the single compelling reason that that bunker was built and that this perimeter was hardened, it cost $1.2 billion to harden that site, was because 2 priests, a nun, and 2 grandmothers entered the base, walked, hiked for 4 hours at night, and came up this road and broke through the fence and broke through the second fence and were finally apprehended as they approached a nuclear weapons bunker. They're called the Disarm Now Plowshares, and they're our heroes.
Yes, yes, they are.
There's also a railroad that goes in here. The missiles come and go by rail. The warheads come and go by truck. One of the things that's going on now is the Trident 2D5 life extension program. And that program involves removing every warhead and every missile from every submarine and transporting them all to the Pantex plant in Amarillo, Texas, and essentially rebuilding them with modern components and bringing them back. That's a $1.2 trillion program that is in progress right now. And here is the bunker I spoke about. Hundreds of thousands of tons of concrete. It goes down several stories underground. These accesses here and here are for the armored trucks that bring the warheads in armored casks from the submarines down into the bunker where they're stored, or conversely, they go down, pick up a warhead and bring it back out and truck them down to the submarines down on the waterfront. The numbers of nuclear weapons are here. The details aren't that important. Notice that the US and Russia have about 90% of the deployed warheads. Deployed warheads means those are the warheads that can be launched within hours. This country and Russia each have the capability to launch 1,500 nuclear warheads in hours. Thank you very much. I hope you, I won't say I hope you enjoyed the presentation. I hope it was informative. Now we're going to do a video of one of our nonviolent direct actions where this venerable group here symbolically closed the main gate of the Bangor base. And then I'll be followed by my friend Sue Ablau, who's going to talk about the history and some of the other things we do here at Ground Zero.
What year is the video? When is it? What year is the video that we're doing?
19.
Do you see the video? Do you see the video?
No. Not yet.
It wasn't.
Okay, and here's my friend Sue Blah.
I've been with Ground Zero since 1993. Ground Zero is a Ground Zero Center for Nonviolent Action, founded by Jim and Shelley Douglas in 1978, has a long history of nonviolent civil disobedience and advocating for the abolition of nuclear weapons. From the beginning, excuse me, from the blockade of the first Ohio-class submarine coming to Naval Base Bangor, and to the boats by Bangor in 2016, and to protesting the last 20 years with the Peace Fleet at Seattle Seafair, to many, many county, state, and federal actions at the base to say no to Trident, no to business as usual, no to war. Many of our actions blocking the roads show the federal blocking the roads to the base and or crossing the blue line into federal property. Some of our members have also taken part in Plowshare's action at Naval Base Bangor and elsewhere in the country. Consequences for these actions have ranged from traffic citations and fines for blocking the road to trials in federal court, fines, and even time in prison. Ground Zero shares a fence with nuclear-based Bangor. We have a no trespassing sign right at the borderline of the property, which we have chosen to hang a sign on that says no nuclear weapons. As Cincy was talking about the peace walk before our major actions on Martin Luther King Day, Mother's Day, and August 6th through 9th, the Buddhists from Bay Bridge Island have a peace walk, generally from someplace in Washington, ending up here at Ground Zero. So as we, before each peace walk, before each action, we gather outside on the lawn or inside in the house, and we recite the Pledge of Nonviolence. We also then walk down to the base with the monks leading us in meditative silence while they drum. At any nonviolent action anywhere, there are three very important groups of people. And in no particular order, there are supporters, those people who have agreed in writing to support any individual risking arrest if they are indeed arrested, and to be there through the arrest process, the court process, and even prison time if that comes to that. There are those willing to risk arrest by actions that may be considered unlawful by the state, such as blocking the road, crossing the line, disobeying an order, and other very creative actions that we've had over the years. And then there are the witnesses. These are the people that are observing from the sidelines. They take the message of the action in nuclear abolition out into their communities, into their spheres of influence, home, work, school, churches. Some of these might include the bannering that happens in Seattle over I-5, and peace vigils, anti-nuclear vigils at Centralia, Lake Forest Park, and other communities in Washington. There they can amplify to the greater community the message of nuclear abolition, that nuclear weapons don't make us more secure. With 9 nuclear nations, we have become even less secure. And that developing and maintaining and threaten to use of nuclear weapons is illegal under international law and drains our treasury to the tune of $1.2 million, I believe Tom said. At the expense of human needs such as housing, medical care, education, and infrastructure, both here and at home as well as abroad. The use of nuclear weapons can be catastrophic to the planet. One nuclear explosion could change life on Earth as we know it. So finally, each of these groups that I listed above are as important as the other. Each carries a message of nuclear abolition back into the greater community. We hope to spread the message of nuclear abolition through the peace wave from coast to coast and around the world, as we seek to inform others through our actions and words. Please join us on August 6th and 8th for our annual Hiroshima Nagasaki action at Subbase Bangor, or any other actions that you might have in your area. And please check our website for any other actions and activities, our website being www.gccenter.org. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. We now have a couple of more videos showing some of the creative types of protesting that's been done here, and also a mitigation hearing. And these are recent. One is from Mother's Day of this year, and also a mitigation hearing that was just a couple weeks ago.
I'm sorry to speak up. This is David. Is there any way we can get audio with these videos? Should there be audio? Yeah, that that audio is not much better than silence. Is there any way you can share screen and click the buttons to share the audio of the video and mute your own audio so that we get the audio of the video, but not an echo?
He's giving instructions. And so I really don't know what to do. I mean, if I were a millionaire, I understand votes can be bought, but I have no money. And so here we are with Trident submarines in the ocean and growlers in the air. And so what do I do? I protest. That's the only way I have when someone will listen to me.
Blocking access to the main gate was a symbolic closing of the base. I'm a retired submarine officer. As a commanding officer of a submarine, I was directly responsible for nuclear weapons. I understand the horrible destructive power of those weapons and the humanitarian disaster that would result from their use. I spent 32 years operating submarines, mostly against the old Soviet Union. The Cold War ended in 1991, over 30 years ago. Yet our government still relies on a barbaric national security strategy based on the threat of nuclear annihilation. Clearly, nuclear weapons constitute an existential threat to humanity. Today, I believe that the probability of nuclear war is greater than it has ever been. If I understand all this and I do nothing, then I'm complicit in an evil crime against humanity. Well, Your Honor, in 1970, 191 nations ratified the Non-Proliferation Treaty. And in Article 6 of that treaty, our government pledged to negotiate a new treaty on complete nuclear disarmament with all of the nuclear weapon states. If we did what we said we were going to do in 1970, there would be no nuclear weapons today. The treaty is part of the body of international law, and as a party to the treaty, our government remains obligated to work toward nuclear disarmament.
I have been advocating for eliminating nuclear weapons since I was 10 years old, and I'm now 75. I've marched, demonstrated, spoken with people, planted gardens on the Trident base, spent some time in jail, and I'm going to keep at it because we really need to dismantle these weapons before one actually gets used, which will set off many more, and that will be about the end of us. So on May 7th, I stood in the road along with these other folks who have been speaking, holding a banner and blocking the access symbolically. We read from the document which started Mother's Day, and I'm going to read just a couple of lines from it. This document starts out, again, in the sight of the whole world, have the skill and power of two great nations exhausted themselves in mutual murder. This was written in 1870, and we just keep repeating these things that don't work. And this is what called us to women to lead the way to finding some other ways to resolve our issues.
We say no to more dollars for death and destruction. We say no to more dollars for the expansion and modernization of weapons. We want to remind the world that weapons have not made us safe, and increasing the quantity or power of weapons is the path to even greater death and destruction. Humankind and Mother Earth need these dollars spent on them. Disarm, disarm.
On August 8, 2001, after the United States bombed Afghanistan in retaliation of that terrible day on September 11. Kenny Spots was 11 years old. He interrupted my class by standing up and declaring, "I don't get it. In school, we're taught to resolve conflicts peacefully, but in the real world, adults drop bombs." That affected me very deeply to think of my students having to carry that burden. Throughout my 35 years of teaching, I tried to emphasize to my students the importance of being critical and compassionate thinkers. When I recognized our government's persistent support of nuclear weapons, not only their cost, but their ferocity, I blocked the gate to Bangor Naval Base to bring attention to this deplorable reality. I dedicate my defiance at the gate to Kenny and all students who have walked through my classroom doors, as well as to my children, grandchildren, extended family, and anyone who has ever loved or has been loved.
So on Mother's Day, I also crossed the line in memory of Mothers and Tears, of the writings of Julia Ward. Howe, thank you. And when she talked about her husbands and brothers and their tears, I think about the tears, and Buddha said some 2,500 years ago that tears of mothers could fill the 7 oceans. The tears of mothers are still here in Texas, at a supermarket, and with nuclear weapons, it'd be the whole planet with tears. And I still cannot understand the killing. I know there's still violence, but I also know that there's love and kindness. And that's the way that my fellow sisters and brothers will continue to try to abolish nuclear weapons. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. So just listening today, I mean, I can see what you're doing, and I commend it. If the sentiments expressed here in this courtroom today spread across this country and this world, it'd be a much different place. And I agree with that. And as Mr. Thomas indicated, that a symbolic closing of the base through protest and through the hanging of a banner to symbolically close that base is what was achieved on May the 7th. And you all understood, or many of you very much so understood, because I've looked back through the docket, and there's this isn't the first time. Ms. McMillan's been here on a pedestrian in the roadway, and Mr. Thomas, I believe, as well, and Ms. Wildflower is, that this been back before this court before on a pedestrian in the roadway ticket. So you knew that was part of the deal. I mean, that this closing of this symbolic closing of the Bangor base was going to result in a ticket. This court is going to give this isn't a contested calendar. This is a mitigation calendar. So a contested calendar is where you contest whether that occurred or that didn't occur, and that's not what's happening today. But I'm going to make a symbolic fine, which just acknowledges the fact that what happened was illegal, and I'm here as a judge upholding the law, and the law is a pedestrians on the roadway infraction, and as a symbolic that law was violated, $10 fines for each of you. So $10 fines is a symbolic gesture to the fact that there was a crime committed. But I do appreciate the sentiment, and as I indicated, I think if the sentiments that were expressed today, if they went across the world, it'd be a different place. So, thank you all for coming.
We may now need some audio turned back on that was turned off, as we're not hearing anything.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, with a bit of an echo, but yes, thank you. But no longer. The audio is gone again.
Are we talking now?
And you're back.
Okay, then I hear a little bit of an echo, but that's because you're listening to us all around the world, isn't it?
That must be it.
Here we are at the Ground Zero Center for Nonviolent Action. And just you saw some videos now. What happens down the road at the gate of the Trident's nuclear submarine base? You also have seen now what the court here in Kitsap County, what they do. They obviously understand that this is a symbolic gesture that we occasionally do, just to help us deal with all the emotions and the problem of having nuclear submarines right here next door to us. And of course, we all are a community here, probably much like your communities, and we're dealing with those emotions. So today we thought we would have a little fun. It was kind of solemn on Mother's Day as we sang songs and got arrested. But today we know we're singing to the choir. And we know that art is a reflection of life. And so we brought a few masks, and we want to challenge a few of what we want to channel, a few of the characters that we see all around us. I'm sure you see these kinds of characters too, with our little message for how we want to either evolve or kind of reflect what it is that is happening all around us throughout the world. But you know, this is America, so you probably if you're American, you'll recognize some of these guys. Enjoy.
I am the president of the greatest country in the world. We are going to get better, better and better. The immigrants can stay in their place. They will not enter. The savages of Africa will not enter. And our Supreme Court has agreed with me. We will protect our women. They will be holy again. I will make this country white again.
My friends, you all understand the horror of nuclear weapons. You understand the costs of nuclear weapons. If you do nothing, you are complicit.
You've heard of the military-industrial complex? Well, I run it. The military-industrial congressional media drug oil thug complex got its eyes on the wealth of the world, and we ain't letting go. It's addictive. We're addicted to this. We don't see a way out. Maybe you can help. We could sure use a change of pace.
For the children's sake, we continue to meet as a group for 40 years or more. Now is the time to end
war, the dying, the destruction, and give the world a chance to have peace.
Actuar o hablar. He ahí el dilema total.
But we can't get rid of our nukes. The toothpaste is out of the tube. The genie is out of the bottle. The arrow is out of the quiver. And think of how much money we've invested. And besides, the rest of the world is not like us. They don't like us. They hate us. They hate our freedom.
Hello there, you out in the studio audience. How many nuclear policymakers does it take to screw in a light bulb? I think you got it, just one. But we brought 2,000 just in case the enemy has their own light bulbs. And by the way, suckers are expensive, they're government issued light bulbs. We are taking donations of your taxpayer money right now.
I just don't know what to do. So much going on. There's so much going on. I just don't know what to do. But wait a minute. We can negotiate together. We can. I forgot the word. We can collaborate together, and together we can all solve this problem. Thank you.
Oh, isn't it wonderful? You're all just here together and we're all talking about our problems and we're all getting along. But can't we just get along? Let's all get along. Come on, you guys. Come on. That's wonderful. Thank you. Oh my gosh, you changed. Hey, the whole world can join us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks to all of our actors and our director. I now like to introduce Marty Bishop from the town of Manchester, who's going to be speaking about the Manchester Fuel Depot.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to be reading most of this, which is written by a friend of ours, Mac Johnson. And if you'd like to read the copy, it's in the April newsletter of Ground Zero. So the Manchester Fuel Depot is the military's largest fuel station. Since 1941, it has supplied a range of fuels and lubricants and collects oily waste and bilge water. It serves Navy vessels via pier fueling, filling oilers, loading onto trucks and pipelines, as well as fueling ships of other nations. It serves the Department of Defense ground and air units located throughout the Pacific Ocean. Dozens of tanks, both above and under the ground, store millions of gallons of fuels. The Navy is worried about having its underground storage tanks meet new environmental requirements. It is planning to replace 8 of them with 6 large above ground tanks, a $200 million 9-year project. Additionally, the entire depot and the state park, where I take walks almost daily, are right on top of the Seattle Fault earthquake zone. I live about a mile from the fuel depot. I have lived near the Puget Sound or the Salish Sea my whole life. When I was growing up, we would walk along the sandbars and get squirted by clams. The sand was full of living creatures. I loved the little pink clam shells the size of my pinky fingernail. The seaweed was greener and the anemones in the tide pools more varied in color. Little fish were easy to catch with our hands. Oil has polluted our sea and diminished its life. Who knows how much oil is lost as ships refuel or as these enormous 80-year-old tanks develop leaks. We're working to clean up the Puget Sound by dealing with wastewater runoff. But the biggest help would be to end our dependence on dirty oil. While the fuel depot is only indirectly connected to the Trident weapons systems Ground Zero seeks to abolish, it is a linchpin of the Pentagon's global operations. It has fueled many of the ships and aircraft in many of the US wars. It is a major oil well of the military-industrial complex, whose Defense Department is the world's largest single institutional consumer of oil. It is the devil's inkwell. Despite its remote scenic location, it is a potent symbol of the threat that militarism, and especially the military of this country we love so much, poses to humans and the health of the planet.
Thank you, Marty. I'm also going to talk about the Manchester Fuel Depot. And the reason is I think it's important to also keep in mind the dangers of climate change and the connection between war and climate change. So, so I'm going to follow up. I have a few, I've got a few slides kind of so people can get an idea kind of what it is and where it is to get a little bit more information. So in terms of what it is, for the Navy, it's the largest fuel depot in the continental US. And it's also referred to in the media as the Pentagon's largest gas station. As Marty mentioned, it's a fuel reserve for forces assigned to the Navy's Northwest region and DoD ground and air units throughout the Pacific. So you could change the next slide, that'd be great. Where it is, it's 319 acres in eastern Kitsap County. It's 1 mile north of the town of Manchester near Ridge Passage and Clam Bay. And it's also about a mile from Bainbridge Island from Fort Ward and 6 miles from Alki Beach in West Seattle. So it's kind of right here. I think a lot of people have never heard about it, and I'm pretty new to this area. So, okay, so we've got a visual here. So here we've got Manchester, here's Bainbridge Island, and here's West Seattle. Okay, next slide. So why should we be concerned about it? Again, Marty mentioned some of the reasons, but I've been reading through some of the documents, the documents regarding the fuel depot. I'm a lawyer by profession, and just trying to get a sense of what's happening there. I'm not claiming to be an expert on the depot because there are hundreds, literally thousands of pages written about environmental compliance or lack of compliance there at the depot. So, so what's happened is in 2015, federal laws changed regarding underground storage tanks and what they have to do to meet like environmental restrictions. So federal and then later state laws changed to make it more safe. They're trying to make it more safe to avoid contamination of soil and water. So, so these tanks, so there are 34 underground storage tanks. They were built, all but 2 were built in the 1940s in World War II. So they're all World War II era. So they're old. They're old for one thing. This is back to why we should be concerned. But they're old is one of the reasons. So the Navy is addressing it, but I think it's been come across as a little bit misleading in that they have informed the community that they're beginning to take care of it. And they're focusing on a pretty small part of what's happening. So they're going to decommission 8 out of the 34 and replace them with these giant 5 million gallon above ground storage tanks. So, and that's what Marty was referring to about the 9-year plan, $200 million. If I could get the next slide, that would be great. So this is a version. It's a little bit hard to see, but all these little dotted line circles are where the underground storage tanks are located. Okay, next slide. So this is another reason, second big reason to be concerned. First was that they're old. Second is that it's on a seismic fault zone, an identified seismic fault zone. That's indicated by this dotted line here. So, and these are all things from the environmental analysis prepared by the Navy. So these are where the new giant storage tanks are going to go. And you can see, they were saying it's a good thing to renew them because right now some of the underground storage tanks are even closer to the fault line. But I guess my position would be, this is still too close to the fault line to be safe, to have 5 million gallons right here and too close to the water, too close to the fault line. So, okay, next slide. So this is just a different view. Oh yeah, where you can get kind of a better view of all the underground storage tanks. So these are the ones that are going to replace the 8 of the underground storage tanks. So these are all the ones that nobody's said anything yet about. I think you can go ahead to the next one. Yeah, this is another reason to be concerned is that there has been a history of violations there at the site. And they are doing monitoring. They're kind of like 5-year plans. I think they just issued the 4th 5-year plan. But it's concerning. It's concerning, I think. So there are these different sites that there are reports on. So this first site, they had about 20 years of dumping stuff there at this site. Site 303 involves like 8 different tanks. And there have been a couple of big spills there, 38 to 40,000 gallons and another 10,000 gallons. And they say that they're catching it, most of it, but there definitely is residual contamination around it. I think and still concerned. Oh, you could go back one more. Yeah. Yeah, so this was another site, like an industrial area where they found contamination of soil and groundwater. And in this particular tank, they found a 2-inch diameter hole in the side of the wall. It's just a single wall tank, which is one of the concern. I guess the new ones are built in a more sturdy way. And these were built very quickly, it's my understanding, relatively quickly, kind of in the hurry of war in World War II. So I guess do the next slide. This is just a paragraph from the report, again highlighting kind of the vagueness of their plans about the remaining 26 tanks. Because they say they've identified a need to ultimately close them. So they know they need to be closed. They know they don't have the money to appropriately comply with the environmental safety laws. So, but they're not committing to anything. They just say they know they're going to have to be closed over an approximately 10-year period, but the timing details of the sequence are TBD. So that's what they're just saying, to be determined. So one concern on this is that when they proposed this first kind of small thing, they didn't do an in-depth comprehensive environmental analysis. They just did it. They said that, oh, there's no big significance because it's just a smaller area. However, the concern is that if they had actually shown what they really need to do, which is all of the 34, then they would have had to go through all the environmental hoops, which had happened after. So, what do you think? So I guess I'm not an expert on this, but I'm concerned about it. And I think we should all be concerned about it. And so they are starting construction and starting to do it. And what I would suggest that we do as a community is kind of monitor what's happening over there. Monitor the pace of the cleanup, monitor the plans for the remaining 2026. And then monitor what's happening with fuel depots around the country. It's been kind of fun. I was just connected with Ann Wright in Pearl Harbor recently as part of the Peace Wave, actually. And so they actually, their fuel depot has been shut down altogether because of the severity of the leaking and how it was contaminating the water supply. So I think we should be connecting with other people who are also reading these thousands of pages, kind of compare notes. It makes sense. Anyway, and then most importantly, I think support efforts to decrease fossil fuel use, both for the military and also as individuals. So thank you. I'm back again. So as part of preparing for this Peace Wave, we've been in touch with people from all over the West Coast, which has been very fun. We have people in Canada, people in Washington, and also down in California. So Jody Evans from Code Pink was going to be making a video, but it didn't happen. They did a slight action at the beach. But she did send us a statement, and she sent some photos, which we're going to share. I really like these photos because they're photos of animals. And one of the things I want to keep in mind is that whether it's climate change or nuclear abolition, we are not the only species on this planet. We're not the only living things. The animals aren't able to speak, the trees aren't able to speak, and plants. So I think we need to do what we can to highlight impacts of these things on all living things. So,
can we confirm that?
Oh yeah, that's
a
what
video.
It's not a video, just photos.
But they can send this.
Oh, okay. Okay, so this is the statement from Jody. We are waving to all of you who love the people on the planet and the future. The United States of America is a war economy culture, the extractive, destructive, oppressive economy that's destroying us, our communities, and the planet. Here in California, we are cultivating our local peace economy, the giving, sharing, caring, thriving, relational, resilient economy without which none of us would be alive. In the face of almost $1 trillion of your tax dollars being spent on war and destruction, in the face of the media propaganda weaponizing minds to hate, in the face of the women's bodies being controlled by those who steal power to abuse the people, we must create a future from new ways. We must gather together and create a more just future. The power of the United States of America is illegitimate and is destroying the planet. We wave and close our waving hand to a fist and say no more. It is up to all of us to be in the streets, to be raising our voices, to be holding each other close and dear. We are all connected, and it is up to us to live from that knowledge, from that awareness, from love instead of the hate and fear that flows from the White House and the media. Engage with others locally. Be peace, be love, cultivate your local peace economy for people, planet, peace, and a future. With love from all of us at Code Pink, Jody Evans. So thank you, California. We now have some drawings that we have here at Ground Zero. They were sent by students in Russia to children in the US, to children in a US preschool. as part of the peace program Target Seattle that some of you may remember from the 1980s. They include messages and images of peace and opposition to war.
What is your dream for me? What is your dream for me? What is your dream for me, dreamer? What is your dream for me? What is your dream for me?
We want to acknowledge the beautiful. Thank you. First, we want to acknowledge Patty. We would really not be getting very far. God, I can't see her on screen, but really she's running from screen to screen, trying to help us. Those of us who don't know what we're doing. So thanks to Patty.
Greetings.
But we also want
My
to
name is
thank
Corey
Pastor
Greenlees, and I'm a
Rachel
member-
Weasley for this beautiful music that's been playing in the background. So she's a pastor, Mennonite pastor from Bellingham. So thanks very much to Rachel. So we now have a video sent in by Corey Greenlees of Victoria. So I mentioned, yeah, we're making connections. So it's wonderful to be making connections up and down the coast. So this is.
We had some technical problems with
Oh.
the video, so if it's possible to make one.
Oh, yeah. Change of plans for the moment. We have a video that's it draws on the power of art to stir us and help us to think of more creative ways to deal with violence.
We have problem with the internet, so.
Oh.
I will do the format.
Sure, it did work. Okay, third try is a chance.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, do it.
Yes, today.
I had mentioned we wanted to include other living things, and so this is a video of Patty walking through our own forest here at Ground Zero, which all of you are welcome to walk in. Okay, we are now. Right, we are now going to go to Corey Greenlease in Victoria. And she'll be telling you they're having an event coming up tomorrow. Anybody wants to go to Victoria?
This may be obvious, but again, we probably need audio.
No audio. Sorry, technical problems. Wait a second. Okay, we start again, okay?
Hello, greetings. My name is Corey Greenlease, and I'm a member of the Victoria Peace Coalition. We're located on Vancouver Island, Canada, on the unceded territory of the Songhees and Esquimalt nations. We are pleased to be part of the global peace wave. This week, peace activists here in Victoria and across Canada are joining the global campaign to stop NATO. On Sunday, June 26th, activists will be at the British Columbia legislature with signs and banners to demand Canada out of NATO, no to war, yes to peace. I'd like to share with you the Canadian statement supporting the campaign to say no to NATO, yes to peace. We urge people across Canada to join us to protest the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, and demand an end to the war in Ukraine. We will be holding Stop the Weapons, Stop the War, Stop NATO rallies across Canada to coincide with NATO's summit in Madrid, Spain. We will be standing in solidarity with the European activists who are organizing a major demonstration against NATO outside the summit, and with the dock workers who are blocking weapons shipments to Ukraine. We are opposed to NATO because it is an aggressive military alliance of Euro-Atlantic countries that has launched destructive interventions in the former Yugoslavia, Afghanistan, and Libya. These NATO wars have caused misery and a refugee crisis. For years, NATO has been provoking conflict. NATO's expansion to Russia's border and its training and arming of Ukrainian security forces is a major cause of the devastating war in Ukraine. We call for an immediate ceasefire and negotiations with all parties for peace and neutrality in Ukraine. We are opposed to NATO's demand that allies increase military spending. At 1.1 trillion dollars, NATO accounts for 60% of global military spending. Last year, Canada spent $33 billion on the military, and plans are to increase by another 70% over the next 5 years. NATO's demand that allies buy new interoperable weapons is leading to a costly arms race. Carbon-intensive weapon systems like fighter jets, tanks, and warships are exacerbating the climate crisis. This military spending prevents Canada from investing adequately in public health care, education, housing, and climate action. NATO's reliance on a dangerous nuclear deterrence and first strike policy puts all of us at risk and is the reason that Canada is refusing to join the United Nations Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. NATO's provocative war exercises and extension into the Asia-Pacific are raising tensions with China and destabilizing the region. The NATO military alliance is undermining global peace and human security. It is time for Canada to withdraw from NATO and develop an independent foreign policy. Canada must end arms exports and economic sanctions. Canada needs to show leadership for diplomacy and disarmament. We need international cooperation, nonviolence, and security for all countries. It begins with ending sanctions, peace in Ukraine, and peace with Russia and China. Let's use our resources to protect the environment, to promote social justice, and say yes to cooperation. From Vancouver Island, best wishes to our friends around the world. Thank you for your work for a more just and peaceful world.
Hi. We also received yesterday some information from Alaska. And we wanted to include them also. So we've got kind of a summary of some of the things. It's actually a PowerPoint that's going to go pretty quickly because it was a lot of pages, but just showing kind of examples of different things that they've been doing up in Alaska.
busy in Alaska.
Right. They are busy in Alaska, yeah. So well, we can hear it for Alaska. We're going to switch, I think, now to the video that I mentioned, a more creative thing to get us kind of thinking. We appreciate your patience. When Patty was making the flyer for this event, she said, games, nature walk, expert speakers, experiments. But I said yesterday, I said, like, Patty, we don't have any experiments. And we both decided that this whole thing is kind of an experiment.
Yeah.
We're all part of a social experiment. I think now, if our colleague, we have some singers that are coming on, but they weren't scheduled for a couple more minutes. So I was going to see if my colleague Elizabeth Murray, she's the person who served in my role as a caretaker resident here at Ground Zero. She's now in California, so I believe she's on the call. So I was going to see if we could switch over to her.
Thank you, Kathy, and thank you so much. You guys are doing such a great job. Can everyone hear me okay? Can people hear me?
Yes, they're all muted, but they can hear you.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Thank you very much. Yeah, we're actually waiting for our musicians to come on. So I'm going to take the opportunity, first of all, to stress how important this peace wave is. We're just on the heels of the beginning of the NATO summit. And it's very concerning to many of us that NATO is currently seeking to expand. Many of you may know that they have NATO wants Colombia to partner with them. Colombia is one of the strongest US allies in Latin America. And thank God Gustavo Petro won the presidency. So we may have a bit of a reprieve, but it's still very concerning. I believe the US has many thousands of troops already stationed in Colombia. So that's very dangerous. And also, I just heard this morning that Jordan's King Abdullah has offered to become a representative or partner for NATO in the Middle East as NATO seeks to expand its footprint and basically try to override or make the UN irrelevant, particularly the UN Security Council, where China and Russia still have the veto and can effectively prevent war. And the US wants to be able to carry out its wars willy-nilly of what the Security Council may say. So our peace wave is really very important. And with that, let me just see. I see that someone named Mikey is the co-host, and I'm guessing that's Michael Hurwitz of the Earthlings.
That's a reasonable guess, but absolutely incorrect. Sorry, I'm adding co-hosts for the next part, just in preparation.
Okay, thank you. But in any case, we say no to this NATO criminal alliance. We say no to the expansion of NATO. We don't want a situation where the United States and its allies don't have to ask permission for their aggressive acts, around circumventing the United Nations, which has always been at least a formal stopgap. There's also the possibility that the US may move more nuclear weapons onto Japan as it ramps up its aggressive stance in the Far East. Actions like this, activities and events like the Peace Wave are so important for helping the public to understand and be aware of why they need to stand up and oppose NATO. So again, thank you all for being here. We're still, our musicians are actually, I'm sorry, go ahead, David.
Now they're here.
They're here, okay. I will give it over to the wonderful Earthlings duo, which are originally from Orcas Island, Washington. They're in Tacoma today. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoy their music. So they may already be on, but I guess I will hang out until I know that they're ready. I can't actually see them, but I'm imagining that they're setting up because we are starting with them just.
Okay. Hey, this is Michael. We're just going to run over to the place where we're going to do our thing. We'll be right with you.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Yeah. So thank you so much. So these folks are amazing, and I just happened to discover them. Not in my Washington, but in the other Washington when I was at a World Beyond War conference. David Swanson had asked them to come over. And so it's a funny way that we found out about this. But I wanted actually to open it up to everyone who's out there. If anyone wants to make some comments on what I just said earlier, or would like to reflect on what they've seen so far, I just kind of, until the musicians get ready, I'd like to open it up a bit.
Since everyone is muted, they have to click to raise their hand, and then you have to click to unmute them.
Oh God, and I can't see everyone, and I'm not sure. Let's see, is anyone raising their hand? I can't.
They do not appear to be doing so, no.
Okay. All right, so, okay, let me just move this back then.
Oh, hi, Elizabeth. We had, Gilberto had something he wanted to comment on.
All right, excellent. Adelante, Gilberto.
We also have another video that came in that we, earlier that we can
Well,
show.
actually, we don't need a video because they'll be on shortly. So just, hi, Gilberto.
¿Cómo está, Isabel?
Muy bien, gracias por venir.
Sí, la pregunta I'm sorry. The Japanese, you said that the Japanese government is asking for more nuclear weapons?
Absolutely not. I think that the United States wants to impose them.
Wants to impose more nuclear weapons?
I don't have any quotes that they've actually asked for them, although given the nature of the government, that may be the way they're portraying it.
Thank you.
Was that it? Okay, so
If we still have a little time, we can run a video, another video that Jody Evans sent. You know, we're just following up on the Poor People's Campaign. So there were many peace activists doing things in Washington last week. So if we have time, we can go ahead and run that right now.
go ahead and start, but we may need to shut it off early, okay? As soon as the.
Okay, yeah, it's just 3 minutes. So let's
yeah.
go ahead and
Please
show that.
Please go ahead. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Are they ready? Are you ready for us?
Oh, Kathy, they're ready.
Oh, okay, no problem.
The
no
Earthlings
problem.
door on. You guys go. You're ready. You're on.
Welcome to the
Welcome,
Enhanced Network. Okay, last night I had the strangest dream, written in 1950 by Ed McCurdy. I'm Sharon Abreu.
I'm Michael Hurwitz.
And we are the Earthlings duo, from Washington State.
Last night I had the strangest dream I'd ever dreamed before. I dreamed the world had all agreed to put an end to war. I dreamed I saw a room so full of people making amends, and the paper they were signing said they'd never fight again.
Just imagine that.
And when the paper was all signed and 1,000,000 copies made, they all joined hands and bowed their heads, and grateful prayers were prayed, and the people in the streets below were dancing round and round, while swords and guns and uniforms were scattered on the ground. Last night I had the strangest dream I'd ever dreamed before. I dreamed the world had all agreed to put an end to war. Thank you. So this is a song called What Is the Sound? Sharon wrote this. I think it was inspired by a poster put out by Veterans for Peace, and it also the
It was actually a poster from the rally for nuclear freeze in 1982.
and it asked the question, what is the sound of all these nuclear weapons not exploding?
We're going to sing. We're singing softly because we're at a convention. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. If growler jets are the sound of freedom, I'll take the sound of peace. Wars keep the whole world in bondage. Peace can be our release. Oh, what if we live by the golden rule? Seems simple enough to me. If that old rule were taught in school, how kind the world could be. What is the sound? What is the sound of nuclear weapons not exploding? What is the sound? What is the sound of a nuclear-free world? What is the sound? What is the sound of nuclear weapons not exploding? What is the sound? What is the sound of a nuclear-free world? That's the sound. Look over my shoulder. Try not to disturb anybody. The Peace Room.
This is another song that Sharon wrote. It was inspired by Dennis Kucinich. Had this idea: we have a war room. Why can't we have a peace room? What would that be like?
When the wars have left us broken in a world of greed and fear, when we've reached our end and we have to mend, there's a place and it's right here for peace to heal our spirits. Oh yes, we'll be there soon. A living place, a healing space. Step inside the peace room. Its function is to welcome the emergent beings of Earth. It's space to safely welcome a planetary birth. So clearly in my vision, I feel its resonance. A field in which we all are one. If we build it, they will come. Thank you. In the peace room, there's room for all. We share our stories, hear our call. Creativity's exchanged. No one can enter and not feel changed. Its walls extend beyond our sight into a field of endless light, where deepest, highest aspirations bloom. Step inside the peace room. Imagine it. Through this great vision that we share, we can replicate it anywhere. It resonates through every land in a language we all understand. Our voices will reverberate, shift frequencies, and soon the new millennium will start here inside the peace room. In the peace room, in the peace room, there's room for all. We share our stories, hear our call. Creativity's exchanged. No one can enter and not feel changed. Its walls extend beyond our sight into a field of endless flight, where deepest, highest aspirations will bloom. Step inside. Step inside the peace room. And in closing, thank you so much. We'd like to sing a little song called Be Peace, because I realized a number of years ago that if I want to see peace out there, I got to know what peace feels like in here. This is Be Peace. I'm just going to sing it twice through, and maybe you can join in with us. I pray for peace in this world, for all people. I pray for peace in this world, for all people. But I know prayer is not enough, not enough. I must be peace. Feel it in my body and soul. Be peace. Fill my heart and mind with a glow only love can show. That's when I will know peace, peace, peace. One more time around. Sing with us if you want. I pray for peace in this world, for all people. I pray for peace in this world, for all people. But I know
prayer is not enough, not enough. I must be peace. Feel it in my body and soul. Be peace. Fill my heart and mind with a glow only love can show. That's when I will know peace, 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 peace. Peace.
Such a great honor to be with you.
Thank you so much, Sharon and Michael, for being with us. That was the Earthlings duo from Orcas Island. We are honored and blessed. Thanks again. And I want to thank you. I want to find out. I don't know if let's see if Patty and Kathy want to show that 2-minute video. We still have time for that before we do the closing remarks. I will leave it up to you all if you want to do it. I can't hear you guys. You guys are going to need to unmute.
Okay, we would like to go ahead and show it. So we'll be seeing some activists who travel from all over the country to Washington, D.C. for the Poor People's March.
Hello, everyone. My name's Danica. I'm from Code Pink.
Say it, Code Pink. Where are the Code Pinks at? All right, Code Pink.
We're here because I know that we all deserve better. And Code Pink is here because we know that winning our fight means you all winning yours. Last year, we gave $800 billion to the military. $800 billion for the military, and we have nothing even close to universal health care. $800 billion for the military, and Flint, Michigan still doesn't have clean water. $800 billion, and we get crumbs. We get less than crumbs. I see every one of your faces, and I know you deserve more. I know we deserve better. As Code Pink, as someone who is a part of the anti-war movement, I know that my efforts to tear down the war machine are directly linked to the fights for unions, universal health care, abolition, reparations, a free Palestine, climate justice, and everything that we represent here today. We greatly outnumber the oligarchs that think it's them that get to decide our future. But we'll win because the power is with us, not them.
My people, which side are you on? Which side are you on? My people, which side are you on? Which side are you
All right, I'm trying to be peace in this program. And with this technology, it's terrific to be able to connect with people all over the world, all over our country and all over the world. So I think, Elizabeth, I think you're going to be closing us out here of our section of the Peace Wave. Is that correct?
I will be happy to close us out. I want to thank everybody for joining us. This has been a wonderful experience. I want to thank David Swanson for inviting us, and to all of you for your forbearance with our our glitches and everything. I think, nevertheless, I think the general message we hope was conveyed. I want to actually give it back to Patty and also to Kathy, who is the new Ground Zero person, if she wants to say a few extra words, because those two people were the key organizers. This would not have happened without them at Ground Zero. So I would like to give you guys the final couple of minutes, if you would like them. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Yes, well, I didn't really make a pitch for people who would like to come visit Ground Zero. We have a lot happening coming up in August, as we do every year. So there's going to be, as Senji and Gilberto mentioned earlier, there's going to be a peace march that's going to happen in, where does it start, Senji? Portland. So thank you. Yeah, so in Portland, Oregon, and in Vancouver, Washington, and then various cities in Washington. They'll be going into Seattle, and then there will be 2 days of programming here at Ground Zero. We'll be doing a direct action at the gate, like you saw. You too could be part of a dancing group, or you could be a witness. So we would love to have you. We'd love to have anyone else here. If any of you are local, we would love to have people come and help with volunteer efforts here at Ground Zero. We have 3.8 acres here, beautiful forest and yard and gardens that always need to be weeded. So we could use help. We could use help here with that. We are also aware of a big march for nuclear abolition that's going to be happening in September. So we would encourage people to participate in Seattle. So we would encourage people to do that. Otherwise, we'd encourage sure, people are welcome to donate to Ground Zero. And we hope that people will look at our website, will join us in advocacy efforts so that we can accomplish nuclear abolition. So thank you.
Wonderful job, everyone. Assuming that concludes part 5 of the Peace Wave, it was a wonderfully done part 5 of the Peace Wave. Let's see if we can stop screen sharing here, or maybe stop Spotlight. Let's see. I don't know what in the world I have to do to get out of Washington State. There we go. That may have done it. So I don't know. Oh, there we go. Remove Spotlight. Okay, there we go. That may have done it too. Anyway, we are moving in 1 minute on to part 6 of a 12-part, 24-hour Peace Wave that has been absolutely fantastic thus far. And we are going to Hawaii and Guam and other places west of the west coast of North America. And I am about to stop and restart, not this Zoom call. This Zoom call will continue for 24 full hours, but I'm about to stop and start the recordings and the live streaming to YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So if you are watching in those places, pick up the new video that will be starting in about 2 minutes as I stop this one and start the next one. Let's go to Mikey, and let's go to whoever's starting us off with part 6. Welcome to the Peace Wave. Does anyone need help unmuting or anything else?
Half a day from Guahan. it seems that I might have to restart some audio. I'm gonna see if I could do this first. But half a day from Wuhan, and I hope this works.
We're seeing a video with no audio. I have a dozen videos I'm prepared to show. Just say the word.